so our group was the Chaldeans or Neo-Babylonians. So they were mainly located around the northwest area of the Persian Gulf, Babylon right here. And then as they grew, they expanded out eastward, no, westward in the Fertile Crescent.
Uh, so the Neo-Babylonian Empire grew to power when they kind of formed a little, they kind of teamed with some other civilization groups to defeat the Assyrians. And this was, they all worked together to defeat Assyria, and after about 10 years or so, the Neo-Babylonians took over everything pretty much, and they existed for a long time until they were defeated by Cyrus II of Persia in around 539 BC or so.
Alright, so some key figures out of the Chaldeans were Nebuchadnezzar II. He was like the main king of Babylon that lived from 630 to 562 BCE. And then there was Habakkuk, which was a prophet that wrote the book of Habakkuk, which was one of the books in the Hebrew Bible. And then some main gods were Shamash, which was the Babylonian sun god, and he was the son of Sin, which was the moon god. And then Sin, which was the Babylonian moon god, was the father of Shamash. And then Ishtar was the goddess of love and war. And then Enlil was the god of the sky. And then Ea was the Babylonian god of wisdom.
Alright, so for some significant events and achievements, in 597 BC, Nebuchadnezzar led the Neo-Babylonian Empire to, along with some other civilizations, to take over Assyria. He also conquered Syria and Palestine, along with smaller civilizations around there. They were one of the civilizations who won the Battle of Carchemish, I want to say that in 605 BC, which was between Egypt and civilizations near them against civilizations near Chaldea. And an astronomer who was named Berosus, I don't know how to say that, he created the sundial, which before their only means of telling time was either to just look at the sun or they would put a stick in the ground and look at the shadow. But on the lower right, that's what a sundial looked like. So they made 12 equal sections, and whatever the shadow was at, that was the time of the day.
So the reasons for decline, there were many reasons. First, after Nebuchadnezzar's reign, the Chaldeans, they overthrew the original monarchy, and King Nabonidus ended up taking the throne. And after they had defeated the Assyrians with the help of the Medes, the Chaldeans actually turned to Persia for help to defeat the Medes and then take over Mesopotamia and establish their own empire. And that, in a way, exposed themselves to the Persian power, which actually led to Persia taking over later. And Nabonidus wasn't really a great king. He mostly focused all his attention on reforming his religion, as the god Marduk was the original sort of patron god of Old Babylonia, and he changed the god into Sin, which is the moon god, and he sometimes even left Chaldea into his son's. His son would look over Babylon when he was gone because he was too busy reforming religion. And Cyrus the Great, who was the king that ended up taking over Babylon, he used propaganda and saying how he would unite all the people under religion and give themselves religious freedom. So in a way, he looked like sort of a savior for the oppressed. And finally, in 539 BCE, Cyrus led an army which defeated the Babylon, their military. And they had people on the inside working for the Persians, which helped the empire collapse really easily.
So one of the interesting things about the Chaldeans, which is one of the things they're well known for, is the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which is considered one of the 7 ancient wonders of the world. And we know that they were created sometime around 575 BC for Nebuchadnezzar's wife, who was homesick because she was not used to the dry climate of the Middle East. And they really created, we think they were created by putting soil over around these pillars and then filling or putting plants and trees in them, and these grew, and it was irrigated with water from the Euphrates River. One of the interesting things is that we don't really know whether or not they do exist. The remains have never been found. We only have drawings of what it could have looked like, and some have even suggested it existed in Nineveh, the Assyrians, and there's all different theories about it, but don't really know whether or not they have existed. And I believe that's it. Any questions?